right, good afternoon and happy June. I'm Christy with Triangle MLS, and I am so excited about today. I have gotten to know Amy and Ed a lot over the last 5 years as we have talked on and off about bringing Domus Analytics to Triangle MLS. And when Matt Fowler joined our organization, he went, "Hey, Christy, have you ever heard of this company called Domus Analytics?" And I went, "Yes, are we getting them?" And he's like, "I think we should talk about it." And I'm like, "Sweet, here we go." And I am just like beyond excited that this is going to be the new tool for us. So I'm going to share a couple of housekeeping rules and then we're going to drop and just start running. So first, we are recording today's webinar. It will be shared back out in a comms piece probably later this week, early next week. So you can share it with anyone in your office, in your teams, tell them that that's where they would get that data to get to rewatch it. We are in a webinar format, which means you can't talk. That means you have to type your question in for me, and there is a reason for that, and that is so that I can pull it out and make Q&A with this, so we have a lot of those questions answered, and if Amy and I miss something, we'll get to go back. We're actually not going to train you today. You can come back tomorrow at noon and take training with Amy, and then we'll have some more training in July, August, that time frame. But right now, this is your opportunity to see a big, broad overview of this amazing tool. I, of course, am beyond excited that we have this. So I'm going to hop and start sharing my screen for a second because I kind of want you to see some things that are on. So if you guys are on your dashboard at my.trianglemls.com, you know where to go, that my.trianglemls.com. And you scroll down into your other services. This week, 2 new tiles went up. My favorite is the market stats with Domus Analytics. You'll be able to click on that and get a new pop out and go in and see the amazing tools from Domus. Here's what's really cool, and Amy's going to share this too, but I am going to tell you too. We actually went live with the public side of the Domus statistics on the trianglemls.com website today. And it sits, there's a blog that Amy wrote for us, and right under view housing statistics is the same data you're going to see today sitting out there for consumers, with the disclaimer to always consult a realtor for more information. So please, please, please make sure that you get into your portals like my.trianglemls.com and start taking a look. I'm going to stop sharing. So let me introduce you to Amy. She is one of the founding members and the rock star of all rock stars when it comes to stats, next to her husband, Ed, with Domus Analytics. She has also been our trainer extraordinaire for this new stats tool and my sparkly friend. So Amy, I'm going to let you share and take it away. I'm going to watch the chat and the Q&A. If you guys do have any questions that come up, we are not going to address them while we're talking. Amy and I are going to have a conversation about stuff, and then we're going to do it all at the end. So if we miss something, don't worry, we're going to come back to it. But if you'll put it in the Q&A, that way I can kind of keep track of that. All right, Amy, share away and let's talk. And I will kind of drive our conversation a little bit too. Oh,
All right, I am sharing. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here today. This is really exciting for us as well. As Christy said, it's been a long time that we've been talking to the team at Triangle, so it's really exciting to finally be here and deploying for you guys. And if you are to click on that little tile that Christy just showed you from your My Triangle MLS, this is what will open up, and this is the Market Stats portal. And I know you're looking at it right now going, okay, there's a lot going on here. And if you're not like a huge stats nerd like we are, you might be already like, oh no, what am I going to do with this? But take a breath. It's cool. And I will talk you through why there are so many things. Because as Christy said, we want to make it easy for you to access and use, and we want to make it fun too, which is why we have so many choices here. And it's really simple. It's just reading it like a book. You start at the left and you read it over to the right, and it goes from the simplest to the most complex. So if stats are scary for you and you really are doing it because you know you have to, then just start with the market infographic, which is exactly what she showed you. That's right there on the Triangle MLS site. It's high level, it's pretty, it's fun, it's interactive. You're going to see these on your member association sites as well. I think Raleigh already has it up, but the difference is Raleigh has limited it to just their counties. So if you're over there and you look at theirs, they'll only have a couple of options. You have all of them on here for yourself on this website, as well as from the portal when you click it. So it's really just meant to be fun and quick. And when somebody asks you, hey, what's going on with prices these days? I mean, the tendency is just to say, well, it's up. It's always up, right? And it's kind of not wrong, but you could always verify that on the infographic because it's right there, big and bold for you right away.
Yeah, one of the things I want to like make sure that our subscribers understand too is that our partnership with Domus and adding the market statistics site right here up front and center on the trianglemls.com website, as that's a public facing site, is transparency. We want to make sure that consumers have access to where the market stands. We're not trying to take away power from our subscribers or from the realtors in our market. We're just working towards that transparency. So this piece is a big, broad overview. They're going to be able to see the numbers that you're talking to them about. They can look at it in the same way you can. They don't get the same kind of drill down that we'll get to when we get to the private side of this, but we do want you to understand that that's why. I think let's hop to the side where they get a little bit more of the tools, Amy. So we can talk about when we go into the full on pieces here. You guys need to understand these tools, those 2 pages, the infographic and the market review, are embeddable on your personal websites. That's our gift back to you. The folks at Domus make it so that it's super duper easy. You don't have to do anything about making sure it stays up. It's going to auto refresh and be there forever. Amy talks a lot about that in training. So if you are interested in how that works, she can really show you how to do that during training. But Amy, talk about what they're seeing with these spark lines and what's the difference in the 13-month to the year to date, please.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned embedding because I was thinking that, oh, they're going to be so excited when they hear that they too can put these on their websites. And this one is actually my favorite dashboard. I love this because it is so much information all on one page. And with these little spark lines in particular, my favorite little feature here is if you'll notice there's that little horizontal line on each one of those spark lines. And these lines are 13 months. If you move your mouse over, you can see month by month and go, oh yeah, it's a trend over time. But that little horizontal line is showing you the current value of that metric. So you don't even have to move your mouse to look and see that the sold price is right now at the highest dollar per square foot that it has been in the last 13 months because you have that visual cue right there. It's at the top right now. So it's really quick to get that level of information. And if you want to switch and go, to a year to date, you can see, oh, here's what's been going on for the year so far compared to the prior year, which is why I say it's got so much information on one page because it's literally just one button click away for you and you can see what's been going on. So I love this. I see this at open houses a lot. People will print this out one side on each of your piece of paper and then hand that out rather than giving like a big booklet. I walked into an open house once because I love open houses. And I want to say they gave me like a 35-page glossy magazine that was all stats for the entire area. And I was like, why do I need this right now? I'm just here looking at the house. I might not even like the house. So this is like perfect for that because it's just the amount of information that they need. And if they want more, then they have to call you, right? That's the whole point, is for you guys to be the experts and to share that and to make them want to call you and make them understand that they need to call you when they want to go into those details.
Yeah. And one thing we should probably point out too is when you leave the 13-month view and you move to the year to date, you'll notice that the 2 bottom categories drop away because those are monthly metrics and not a year to date metric. So we're trying to make sure that you can tell that it only applies to those monthly calculations. That kind of helps with that explanation. I know you guys have noticed those boxes at the top. Amy, let's talk about the carrots and the tools to pull down and like try to tweak that a little bit to get it more specific. Because as you said, I only want to look at the city that I'm looking in and not anything else. So what if I wanted to just look in Apex, North Carolina? Could I do that?
You can. So all of these little boxes, you may have noticed they have these little upside down triangles on them. Anytime you see that, it's a filter. So you can click on it and see what all of your options are. So if you wanted to look for Apex, I can go over here to my cities. And the quick way I like to do it is unselect everything. And then Apex is right there. So I'll check that. I'll get my box back out of the way. And now I'm looking at Apex. And I didn't have to dig through a whole bunch of PDFs to find it either. It was here and it was a couple clicks away.
All right. So if you guys are selling houses in Apex, you're getting 101% of your list price. That's pretty awesome. I love that metric. I love that it's like that quick and that I can just see that it happened. I didn't have to like overthink it. It was just right there.
Yeah, and you can do
Amazing.
the same as you saw with the property types. And on the county one, if you were to start there first, and let's just pick on Durham, these are linked. So it's going to just show me now which cities are in Durham in the data. And that gets back to what we were talking about earlier, Christy, with cleaning up the data, is that if there were a city in here that didn't belong in here, that's because there's at least one listing that has that combination in it. So that's why Christy's team is working really hard to get all of that clean so that you won't look here and go, oh, Apex isn't in Durham. Well, somebody thought
It's
it
part
was
of
in one
Durham
listing.
County. There's a little piece of it that made it into Durham County. So it just depends on where you map. So we have to kind of give a little like grace for that, I guess. So you guys have just seen the two public side pieces. And yes, we are limited on those public portals to just be county and city. You can sort by all our property types. But if we want to get really into it and we want to start like deep diving into those fun analytics, this is where the dashboard begins to show you that members only side. And we can go monthly data, weekly data, and then we'll play with the favorite in a little bit. But let's talk about the market insights for the entire month of May. Oh, actually, let's just do it all the way back to the beginning of time in January 2004.
Right? Because you can go back there. You can use your little filter with that triangle on the top and scroll all the way down and see what was going on in January. And it's telling me here that my median sales price back in January was 156.9. Oh, there it is right there. And since I only said 1 month, it's not actually, oh, it doesn't compare year over year. So let's go to January of 2005. And then I'll see a trend and what's going on, and I'll have my comparison. So this is live and it's on a website here. So whenever you're using these, it's going to be dependent on your internet connection. I'll just mention that. And it's calculating millions of records beneath there. So you might have to wait a second for it to get that for you. But now it gave us that time series from the beginning of time there, 04 through to 05, and what was going on. And you can see the comparison here. And I could change that if I wanted to as well. Not in this case, because January 04 is as far back as it goes. But we had our prior version to this, which you guys, by the way, are the only MLS in the country running on this version right now because it was just released and you guys launched right when we released it. So you're the only ones right now. Pretty exciting. But prior to this, you could only compare month over month or year over year, which is typically what people do in real estate. But we had people say, well, I'm working with my, previous buyers and they wanted to get a report on their home that they bought in,
Yeah, let's get it more current because I do think it's interesting
Yeah.
to look at our market prices, how much we've escalated.
Yep. So if you're looking right now and you want to do a report for somebody who bought a home, and let's say they bought it back in, well, let's go to 2018. Why not? And it was August of 2018. We initially looked at that and went, why would you want to compare those two timeframes? But that exact issue of let me show my buyer what their house appreciation has been was the use case. So it's up almost 60% since that person bought their house in August of 2018. And you can see the whole trend right here. So a ton of flexibility on this dashboard.
So something I love, Amy, that you guys have incorporated all across all of the dashboards is that dotted line, so
Mhm.
that I know if something's above or below where the current trend is sitting. So if we were looking at a different piece of time, we could tell like where we were sitting in our market with that number, how things are going, and look the difference between an older period of time or a more current. I know we've looked at some stats where we can see the filter is a lot lower than the
Mhm.
price. So we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm gonna let you keep going. This is awesome. Sorry, I have little thoughts that pop in and I'm just gonna keep pointing them out because I think it's so fantastic.
Yeah, no, that's why we're here. So absolutely. Yeah, and this is excuse me, like Christy said, that line right there that does show you that, and that is on all of the charts now. That's also new for this one. So you guys have all the fun stuff. And on the other ones, you had those three filters. You had your property types, your county, and your city, which is high level, and that's why we give that to the public. But for you guys, you have a ton more that you can do. So I've got this little filter panel here that I'll click on, and now you can see all the filters we have in here. So you've got the property type, city and county as well, but then we brought in that zip code. We brought in your subdivisions that you can go and sort on. We have new construction versus resale and your different sale types and all of your different slider filters here. And what I like to point out for people when you're using the filters on the bottom is that the tool annoyingly made us pick a number at the top end. It doesn't just let it be open-ended, which is why we put the little plus sign there, just so that you don't forget and think, oh no, what's going to happen in 2025? Can I not look forward into the future? Or what if I want to look at houses with more than 4,000 square feet? Well, it means it's there. It's just up at the top end. There are so few listings that hit that bar that we sort of pick that number and that's where it stops. But you certainly can do analysis above and beyond that. So don't think you're limited in any way by that.
Yeah, yesterday I was in an office and I got actually Monday and I got asked, well, can't I filter by like 2 million to 5 million? And I went, absolutely.
Mhm.
It's a simple thing. We just slide the bar over and you can make those selections.
Yep.
And was really nice too, because we just selected the subdivision and it did the whole subdivision. And we looked at those
Mhm.
past and those current. So it was really nice. So, and I loved that I was able to pick like a couple of little options to add in and then break them apart so that I had lots of little spaghetti on the map to
Yep.
do. And then, well, I'm a big fan of being able to share some data. So I like the pop outs where I can pull it out as a PDF and hold on to it
Mhm.
and print it. So love all those tools.
Yeah, so I just moved this over to the closed sales metric just to show you that um, when we do have those plus signs and the numbers on the top there, there are such few listings there that you probably won't spend too much time up there. And with stats especially, it's really important that you bring in as many listings as you can for your analysis. Obviously, the example of homes from 2 to 5 million is very specific, and you're not going to be selling a house to somebody for 800 if they've said, I want a house between 2 and 5. So there are use cases, but economically, the more data you can put in as you're doing analysis, the more valuable that market analysis is going to be, which is why I hate polygons, because for stats, polygons tend to get down so small that they really lose a lot of the value of whatever economy you're trying to talk about, right? The median price of 3 listings is just the price in the middle. I apologize for my barking dog back there.
Can't even hear him. We're all good.
But yeah, there are certainly cases, but the more stats you can, more listings you can put in when you're doing the stats, the better it will be. But let's just say, since we're stuck on here for the moment, and Christy mentioned transparency before, I want to show you one of the best features here. Oh, yep, your hands are clapping. I know this is a mind-blowing moment. And this is where Christy's like, I wish everybody's pictures were online so I could see the faces when we show you this, because this is really fun.
Yeah, I love this.
So what I'm going to do, I can do it on any data point here, or I could use any of my numbers, either the closed sales or the comparison one. But all I'm going to do is double click on my mouse and it's going to open up a pop-up window here. And that's going to show me all of those listings that went into that calculation. So if you see something that you go, well, that doesn't sound right to me, you don't have to trust that it's right. You can get into that. And that only works on these member dashboards. It won't work on that infographic or the market review because you don't want the public to have all of this info. You guys are the keeper of the keys with all the data.
There
So
are 3 people in our webinar today that have asked me this. It's for, can't you just tell me which listings you used when I have shown them previous stats things? So today, here it is. I can show you which listings were used.
yes, they are here. Now, this isn't directly going into the MLS. This is our database that we're running this on. So if you wanted to look for more information that isn't in here, for example, I don't pull in number of garage spaces. So if you needed that, you'd have to grab your listing and go into the MLS and look it up. But you can export this whole list. It'll drop it to Excel on your computer, and then you have access to it later. Use it however you want. And that works, like I said, on any of these points. If you wanted to see what this 11 was, you could do it there. So that's a really fun feature. We love drill through.
And it's funny because I'm like the one person who has probably been like, oh, I just want to know which ones they're talking about with that. And this makes it so amazingly simple to get that. Let's talk about some of the other things that are in that pull down under closed sales, because there is a wealth of information there. Yeah, we probably ought to get our monies back in order.
Yeah, I'm grabbing that. All right.
Leave
So
our
yeah,
filters open.
the closed sales. So this was our metric list, and there are so many metrics in here. Honestly, I haven't even counted them lately to see how many we have, but there are a ton, and we added a bunch more for this release. So we've got all the standard ones you would expect to see. This is a fun one. I know a lot of people talk about list price received. That's when you say, oh, I got 98% of my list price. But we did just a slightly different view of that, and we call it from list price received. Sorry, I got a little, don't know why I had a little error box on there, but the data appeared correctly. So I'll show you how to get out of that in a second. But this one is the exact same metric of list price received, except rather than calling it 98%, we've shown you that difference from 0. So you can say, oh, I got, 1.5% less than what I asked, or I got 6% more. And that's just because people tend to think about data a little bit differently. And if this is the way you think about it, then this will be the better one for you to use. But it's literally the same metric as the other one that I just showed you. And now to get rid of this little error box or anything that looks weird, all you do is refresh your browser because it's online, clearly communicating from our back end to the HTML front end, something, burped. And now I'm just resetting it. And we are back to the start because it's not writing to the MLS. You can't break anything. It's all read only. So you just refresh and you're good to go. So easy peasy.
I think it's amazing too, because like we can change how we break it out. We can change if we wanted to do, instead of monthly, if we wanted to do like a yearly look or quarterly look. So we can do all of those pieces. I have a lot of appreciation for the breakout. I wanted to do 3 zip codes in a particular city. I could do 3 zip codes in a particular city. So that is, this one's going to be like 1,000 zip codes.
This one's going to take a minute. So this will show me all the zip codes, but I switched it over to year. I'm on zip code, and I can go into that filter panel if I want and look at particular zip codes. In fact, this is probably going to slow me down because it's trying to do all of them. So I'm just going to reset it.
We're gonna take it away. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said zip code. I steered. I apologize.
Oh, yep. See, oh, I killed it.
You killed it.
I know. Let me close one of the other
I love
tabs
when
there.
we do that. You
I know,
guys all get to practice killing it too.
right? And we want you to, like, if you can find a way to completely break it, then tell us so that we will know to fix it. So, all right, I will exit that one. We're just going to open it back up entirely.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about the list price, sale price thing when we go back to our metric to look at that, like the difference in what we're saying that metric is, because Domus does something that I think is better than anybody else, because it gives us an option of looking at sales price and original price a much more unique way. Like those percentages that we were talking about, like, did I get this much over the price? Well, it depends on which one you're asking about. Are you asking about the original price we put it out there at, or is that the price that we closed at over the original price? So those pieces are a little bit more unique within Domus than anywhere else. So do you mind like touching on that a little bit for us?
Yeah. So just like she said, we have that the list price is going to be whatever that current list price is versus the original is whatever you first listed it at, right? And you can have several different list prices here and there. And I always hear stories of, oh, I always get 100% of my list price. Well, yes, okay, you got 100% of the list price, but what was the original price? Because that's really, another metric for you to measure how well are you getting those homes priced to begin with when you are looking at your original price. So this one is always lower. Then there we go, they're refreshing. This one is always going to be a little bit lower. So I think the other one it topped off at it was just above 6, and this one that's pretty good. That's just below 6. So just having the ability to look at all of the different metrics on there and all the different ways. And we have that original price down there. If you wanted to see what those prices were, you can look at, oh, days on market. My goodness, we have so many different days calculations for you guys to look at. So let's click on that real quick because we're still waiting for some issues. I know you guys are probably familiar with what's been going on in the data there. You don't have to worry and that you are giving people wrong information now because we are calculating your days on market for you at this point in time. So this is going to be your list date to that contract date. It doesn't take into account any time off market, but when your median was 12 days, there wasn't a lot of time off market in that time period anyway. So this is that calculation for you. But here's where it gets fun. This is the calculation based on the close month, which is how when the MLS gets corrected, it will be reporting it on the close month because that's what people have always done. But we also have this same calculation for you on your contract month called days to contract. So it's, like I said, that same calculation from list to contract date, but we're showing it to you in the contract month. So you are getting the soonest look at it that you can. So you just saw your days on market was 12, but your days to contract is 15. Since we're looking at the same number, but sooner than closing, this looks like the market is slowing down. And this is your first peek at it. Rather than reporting on things in the close month, you can look at it ahead of time and get, that insight genie into the market, be like, well, I think it might take a little longer to sell than you've been expecting this summer because I have the magic numbers that show me a little bit of that, right?
To get the little genie bottle out and start.
Exactly. So
Future
when
can
we're
we
on
predict?
here, because you wanted to talk about some of the other things, I'm looking at the time series, but I
Oh,
can look at
yes.
that on the price distribution. So now we can talk about which of those price bands is selling faster and slower. So 15 is a median, but if you are selling a house from 600 to 750, you're half that time. And if you're in that higher end, you're looking at a month. So you can tell all of the folks in your rich areas that they're not going to be selling their house in a week or two. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer. So tons of different
This
ways to break
is
this out.
very, very telling for folks that are trying to, and I think a lot of people always think that the 200 to 400 category is the fastest. I think it is very telling that that 600 to a million is so much quicker in our market. Kind of shows what kind of buyers we have and where our inventory levels are at and that kind of thing. So it is a lot happening with that.
And if you want to see where those inventory levels are at, you can look at that as well and see you have a lot more in those smaller buckets, but probably because you're selling them out at the higher price points a lot quicker.
I know. I think that's amazing because we have been pretty intent on how things look. And it does make a big difference. Oh, while we're here, oh my gosh, we should talk about price points and that's yeah, and mortgages. But that's because that tool is like super exciting for me. Sorry, I got a little like excited over a.
Yep, yep. And I'm gonna switch it back over and show you because I know exactly what you're thinking of. I'm gonna go back to the time series on my inventory. And if you're ever looking at any of these metrics, we have the definition of all of them right at the top of the chart. So you can always see what it is you're looking at and how we calculated it. But this is my inventory here. And I'm just going to click on this little button here that says show mortgage rates. And now that's going to put on the mortgage data. We take it from the Fed. It's a weekly number that they put out, and we add it on here. So it's going to be the same dotted line on any metric you're looking at right now. But this is going to show you the mortgage rate. And you can see how that mortgage rate has gone up like crazy and where your inventory levels are. And wow, look at that. The inventory levels started to go up right when, on one of those spikes there as well. So it's hugely, um, you know, telling to see these metrics. And if I switch it over to median price, that's a fun one. You can see what happened with the price as that mortgage rate was changing over time. And you can see it was, going up, 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 up as that mortgage rate kind of bounced down. And then as soon as that mortgage rate really dropped, your prices were still going up. And like, it's so fun to compare and see what was going on and how the market, was shifting based on a lot of factors, not just people needed to work at home with their offices, so they had to buy bigger houses, right? For
Yeah,
example.
I know. So can I zoom in on that like section from like where the mortgage rate was really low and where it began its peak at the end of 21 and up to where we are current? If I want to
Yeah,
zoom
absolutely.
in.
And I'll make it even just a little bit bigger. Why don't we start over here for fun? We'll grab
Oh,
on
right where they like
2019.
intersect.
Yeah. And then I can pull it over and zoom in so you can see that a little bit easier and what's going on.
So what y'all need to understand is that's a like mouse click pull and you get like a zoom feature. It's fantastic. And it's a magnifying glass to go back. But isn't that a neat, like you're sitting there having a conversation with your client, they're trying to figure out if the mortgage interest rate is going to impact their sale, and you can go, nope, here's why.
And
And
you
you
can do it
only
in the
give them
middle
what they
too,
need. Yeah, and you can see it's the same kind of
anywhere.
variation. It's
Mhm.
not that far out of whack. I really like all of that. I think that that's just such a great way for us to drill in even tighter to these metrics.
Yeah, and
Can
you
you,
can take this as well, Christy. Sorry to
no,
interrupt. If
please.
you wanted to copy this, you can, use this button. We've got that little copy. It's the same one you see on Word and Excel and everything else, and it'll copy the chart for you, and then you can paste it into your email that you're sending out to people or to your social media account, or you can download the data from here as well. I know there's always at least one in every crowd who likes to maintain
Two here today.
two of
Two
them this
here. I
one.
know which two they are. They know who they are too.
Yep.
They're
You like your own spreadsheet that you've been managing for the last decade and you want to put the numbers in. Well, you don't have to type those numbers in anymore. You can download it and it will give you the numbers and then you have it there available for you. And you can make your own chart that you developed over time that you like exactly that format. That's there as well. So, yeah, that's available for you too. Yeah, go ahead, Christy. You can continue.
Yeah, so I really like that, and I love the help icon that you guys have. It's very prominent here, and I've noticed that in other places. And people will always be like, "Well, Chrissy, I don't know what I'm doing next." I mean, all I've got to do is click on the question mark, and I can get my question answered instantly because it takes me right to the Domus University, and I get like those quick videos and FAQs. I'm really like so glad that it's super quick. Like if I wanted to add like show the interest rate, well, this is where I go to do that. So that's why that piece is like, that's why I was asking. It's like that's just such a nice way to get that. And I really love that that's happening. All right. So we've been looking at monthly data. And we do get asked often, well, I want to do it in like just the last couple of weeks because the market's moving so fast. And I just wanted, can we like touch on that just real briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go back to that portal page and we skipped right over it, but there is a weekly trends right in here. So this one came into our product line during COVID and everybody was waiting for their monthly stats and it was just too long to wait. You couldn't figure out what you were going to do if you didn't know what was going on. So we brought it in for COVID, and then it became popular with people working actively with a client, and your client's calling you. You know who that client is, who's like, what's going on this week? What's happening? Should I raise or lower the price? Where is everything? And they're always, needing more and more info. So we kept it in, and this is where you can get that. Now, it is smaller in the filter capability, because we talked about this already. With the stats, you want to have as much information and as many listings as you can to make economic sense. So if you start limiting by week and too many filters, you're going to lose the value of those stats. So it is a little limited time slice of what's going on, but it still gives you that first view. In fact, Matt Fowler sent an email yesterday saying, when is June coming out? And we were like, we're still in June. June is not coming out until July 1st, Matt. But weekly dashboard is there if you want to see where the trend is going. So in this one, I can zoom in as well and see a little bit closer if you wanted to. And you can also click through and get the data drill through on this as well. So it still has all those same member functionalities, but just that week by week view of what's going on.
And if you're this person that wants to go out and keep all of this up on your social media, these are the neat things that are going to allow you to screen capture this, share it into your social media, put it out there in your reel, talk about these trends, and just say, hey, I've been watching these weekly trends, just thought you might want to keep up. And this is just something you could share. It's fast and it's simple. But I want to blow your minds because I'm trying to watch our time, because I want to make sure I stop at the end so we can kind of ask some things. All right. So I have been begging for this, and somebody else beat me to it and pushed and pushed. And Ed went, Christy, I did it already. And I'm like, oh my gosh, please bring up this. We have to show this. So, all right. So let's pick on our friends over in Alamance County, Amy, and we'll just take a look out there. We can pick the Burlington. Yeah. This will be a fun one to really look at. So as we are talking, we have scatter plotting now, and this is a tool that is just amazing if you are trying to figure out what the market is doing and how to price something. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, so this one came about actually from working with an agent in the Boston area. And he was having a lot of trouble pricing a property because it was a condo. And he's like, there were only 3 sales in the last 6 months. I have no idea what to do with this thing. How can you help? So this is not aggregates like you just saw. It's not stats. Every single dot on here is a listing, and you can click on it and it'll show you what that listing is. So I already know Pineway Drive's pretty nice because it's the top one on my little chart here in Burlington. And I can see what's going on in the bottom end here as well, and say there's Shaw Street is going to be probably an older house or a fixer-upper or smaller, whatever the case. If I have
Y'all caught
flipper,
that, right? You just
yep.
clicked on a little button and you got the MLS information right there on the page. You didn't have to guess at what it was or hope that you could figure out which listing it was.
Mhm.
It's right there. You didn't have to do anything other than click. I love this.
Yep. And if you want all of these listings down here where it shows me I'm looking at 308 individual listings on here, I can do that double click and it'll drill through and you can export it and keep it. But this is how your buyers are looking at the market. So when you're taking a buyer out and showing them all the houses, you're like, we've got this one and this one and this one, and those are the options. This is a visual representation of those options. So you can say, in fact, I'm going to just zoom in here so we can see it a little better. You can say, all right, we've looked at this house over here on Evergreen, and then we've looked at this one, and we've looked at this one. And you can show them each house that they've been looking at. And this is breaking up the market. So down here in the bottom, my lower price, lower dollar square foot, that's going to be my lower end. We call it your value listings. So they're low price, they're a good value. First time home buyers might be down here. And that value is based on those 2 prices, the intersection there. When we call it a luxury listing, we define luxury by dollar per square foot here. So I'm going up on my axis here in dollar per square foot. These houses up above that line are going to have probably newer appliances, maybe granite countertops, new landscaping, that they're higher per square foot. And up in my top bucket here, those are the high priced in both the cost and the square foot. That's my, real move-in ready market. My next house is going to be here. I gotta say, I'm tired of being a Amy homeowner with the hammer. And then your bottom one here is higher per dollar, sorry, higher in dollar price, but lower in dollar per square foot. So these are your kind of four market quadrants that you'll be shopping in for people. And then the fun part comes. You're sitting with your seller, and your seller is like, well, I've done some work on my house. I think it's actually pretty nice. I would like to list at, let's call it 450. I'm putting it in my box at the top here. And it is about 1,500 square feet. So we'll leave that on there. And now I've got two more blue lines that popped up. And the intersection of those blue lines is where that listing would sit in relation to all the other homes in this market. And then you can start clicking around here and say, okay, seller, are you close to Gray Gables? Is your house nicer? Are you not as nice? Like, where are we? Because the buyers that are walking through here are comparing you to Gray Gables. So let's talk about if that's realistic or not. And then that's where you can have those pricing discussions and get to that right price right out of the gate, right? Especially
So
as the market's
every
slowing down.
agent that has ever done a CMA and had to do a search by price point or by square foot, their heads just went, this is so much better. You're giving me all of them and I didn't have to do any work.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that was the gift. This is something I love. And I love the dials because it is such a visual for a seller or even for a buyer to come back and go, well, this listing is 79% below, they're these things. And there's such a visual. I think that it just makes it so much more tangible. And the fact that you guys are allowing it to be pulled out, all of those listings, all 308 of them, if we wanted to, into that CSV so we can look at it. The filters are all there. I could print this and put it on a piece of paper and take it with me and lay it on the table. I could have my computer up and share this while I'm sitting with them. I am super duper excited about like the fact that we get to do this. And I also really love the fact that it's stated really clearly at the top. This is between May of 21 of 20 May 1 24 and today yesterday. Well, yesterday.
Yesterday.
This data's pulled at about midnight. Oh, how did we get to the scatter graph? All right. So it's the pricing insight tool within. It's the last most complex dashboard we have with our market stats. So that is where it sits.
Yeah, and this one is great too. It's not just for sellers. When you're sitting with your buyers, you can say, okay, we looked at, several houses, and the one that we looked at that was 4,500 square feet, $450,000 is what I meant to say. That was 3,000 square feet. So let's see. Oh, that one's down here in the bottom. Do you want to be down here when you buy your house? So
Yeah.
you can plot it and say, here are all the homes you're looking at, which really, like Christy said, is that visual. Because I think part of the reason why stats are scary for a lot of people is that it's just looking at spreadsheets and numbers and you're talking about, up and down and percentages, but more people are visual than not. And when you can show them the impact and where things are sitting, I think it helps drive home that message really easy.
I do as well. I'm just like thrilled with this. And I'm going to just like kind of quickly go back and make sure I've gotten answers to all the questions. Yes, you can filter by zip code in the agent blocked tiles and dashboards. We've got that under the filter. You can put in that zip code and select, and you'll notice it has every zip code that's even apart. You guys will see that sometimes at the top we have those blanks that are up there. Bad data in, bad data out. Our data integrity team and myself, we've been going through and doing a lot of listing cleanup as we've moved forward, and anything that was not lining up, we've been working on cleaning up, but we can't always correct it as things keep getting added. So just be aware that that does happen. And again, we have that filter under that filter section for your subdivisions and your neighborhoods. And it's very, very easy. And you guys saw where Amy pointed out how the definitions for all of the metrics pop up.
Mhm.
Hey, Amy, I do want you to explain where the mortgage rate comes from since we are new with that, like for you guys, so that people understand that that's just a perk feature for we are getting to the benefit of.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the little toggle switch that I have here that works on any of the time series charts. I'll just hide that for the moment because I also have the metric of it if you just wanted to see it by yourself. We do have that mortgage rate and it's from the St. Louis Fed. So on a weekly basis, we pull in that rate and then calculate. We're looking at the monthly stuff right now. So we calculate what that average would be when they give us the weekly data. But the chart we're looking at only goes through May anyway. So this is not gonna, you're not gonna see the June weekly numbers until we hit July. July 1st, by the way, you will have this visibility across all of the dashboards to any of the data starting on the 1st of the next month for that prior month. So that's where we bring it in. And as long as we were talking about that, we also do have the HAI that I'll touch on because HAI, people always talk about affordability. And one of the things they always ask is, well, income levels aren't going up as fast as we thought they were. But quite honestly, the income levels don't drive affordability as much as the mortgage rate does.
Yep.
It has a much bigger impact. So this actually uses that mortgage rate. We've also made some assumptions about the tax and insurance rates for your area by county. So this will vary as you change by county. This is just the average we're looking at right now. But you can see here, the affordability was kind of up and down and stayed pretty static. And as soon as those mortgage rates started going up, it started plummeting. It's almost an exact crisscross here with those mortgage rates. So
Yeah, I think that is really important. Somebody asked me specifics of the 9-digit zip code. And just a reminder, those last 4 digits are address specific. So that would mean that the stats were based off of one single point and not a bunch point. So the zip code is the 5 digits, the 4 is the specific. So when we pull stats, we're looking at a 5-digit zip code and not a 9-digit zip code.
mhm.
Just in case you guys were not fully aware of that. It's really important. That's an important thing for you to note as well. Oh gosh,
Yep.
Amy, I love this so much.
Yeah, and there's a ton of stuff we didn't cover on here either. So you
No,
guys have access to this right now. We're doing a full training tomorrow to go into a lot more detail. So
and the
we'll come to
link to
that.
get registered is in the chat if you wanted to open it up and click on it and get registered. Or I'm gonna steal the share for a second, Amy, as
Oh
you're
yeah, absolutely.
playing. So I get to like bombard you. I'm sorry, it's not intentional. But if you also are not sure where you want to go, you can go under the piece here under view account and it will take you right into the calendar, or you can click on the class calendar on the dashboard and you can pick our Domus Analytics training for tomorrow, if I can get to the right day. And that way you'll be able to grab that training and get yourself scheduled. I think that's a good thing for us to get to as well. And then one other thing I really wanted to make sure that I pointed out, and Amy shared this, is that these pieces are currently active and live. So you have complete access to them in two places, your dashboard and on the Triangle MLS website. So make sure you go and play and get familiar. Sign up for Amy's full training tomorrow. But I would be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out for PropTech South. We have an amazing event that we are the sponsor of that is September the 19th. This year it will be held at the Embassy Suites. It's actually near the RRAR building. Last year we were in Chapel Hill at the Friday Center. If you have not registered, put your little search buttons in and go PropTech South and it will come up and get yourself registered. There's some great stuff that happens there. There's so many amazing vendors. Ed and Amy will be there talking about stats again, because that's like one of the most important discussions we're having right now. And I'm going to answer the questions that just came in. So the training session will actually be recorded. If you are not registered, that's fine. We're actually going to share it out down the road. It is not going to be shared right away. We want people to actually attend the training first, and then we'll put it up in a library. Today's was recorded, and this video is actually scheduled to be included in some future pieces. So just make sure that we're going to have that in our other items that we have going on. And so you'll be able to get to that and to watch it later on. So don't worry, we're going to make sure you have everything that you need. This is an amazing tool. And you guys just do not know how happy Christy is about it. It is an incredible partnership that we have with Domus. They are doing so much great work for us. They let us go first for a new version of their tool and their product. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be the first to have that. And for us, I think that we could not have gotten any luckier. I'm so glad you and Ed were able to make sure we got that. So we were ready to go live with it. And it is, we're going to come up right on time, and I'm going to give you guys 5 extra minutes of your day. Amy, I appreciate so much your time. You know, that's important to me.
Thank you for having me. And I'm excited for everybody to come tomorrow. And if not, you will have the recording available at a later date. So,
Yeah. So
um,
come on, join
yes.
us.
And give your